Too bad Kazian couldn't do /raid OMG it's a Bist before he ended its stream.
I think we would have had to teach him how to do that.
It's literally typing /raid OMG it's a Bist in the chat. Oh, it's also recording. That's good.
Week 5, Sapphic Mercury. Let's go.
Oh no, week 5 Sapphic Mercury. That's not this stream. we went. The sands of suspension sent us back in time.
The burrito crawl never ends.
Alright, this is week 2. A moment, let me change the stream title. Usually I'm on top of this, but this is an emergency stream.
Everyone in chat, we're no longer robots, right? We are no longer...
Okay, there we go. The stream title should be fixed. Yeah. Totally correct.
Ended,
yes.
It was all that sound of suspension gumming up our microphones, making it sound all robotic. Sus sand? Oh no.
When the sand is sus. I'll let Kazuya know he can still join us one moment. Unless he's listening right now, he can still join us. I'll ask him if he wants to.
The people are crying out for Kazian.
Oh, yes, okay. Hello. Okay, I still have half a bowl of soup in my hands right now, though. I am going to be eating while this stream is happening. I hope you all don't mind. Anyways, the reason the stream is black right now is because I need to move all of the future Weeklies puzzles elsewhere, so y'all don't see it.
No peeking! No peeking!
No peeking. Not peeking. New folder.
Everyone has to close their eyes and turn their back to their computer screens while this moves.
Oh my god, I have so many custom puzzles in here. This is such a pain.
You have a problem. Bist.
Look, I haven't needed to do this in forever. I have too many puzzles. Okay, let me make sure this works. I am turning off the source for Opus Magnum so it doesn't appear, but you'll hear it. You're gonna hear it. The Opus Magnum chime, the jingles. Okay, they're gone. Only sus sand is here. Let's go. Can y'all see?
Yeah.
It's nice for the startup screen in Opus Magnum to make sure you have your volume the way you want it to, because if it's not the way you want it to, you'll know immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're starting over because I don't think I'm gonna try to connect the Kazian stream into this one. We're gonna start all over. We're gonna start with 17 Storm again. Hello everyone, welcome to Opus Magnum Weeklies 2025 Week 2 Sus Sand. Yes. This is totally the first time we're streaming this. Kazian, you want to talk about the puzzle? Your puzzle. Well, you do so. I'm gonna eat some dumplings.
Okay. So Sand of Suspension. The lore for this puzzle is that living beings buried in this sand get suspended between life and death and can be reanimated if they're just taken out of the sand. The creator of this molecule, or rather discoverer, a Wallace has not been seen for a while, because there have been a few years of interesting times.
You know, kind of like us right now. We've got like unprecedented times ahead of us. Are you ready for your once-in-a-lifetime disasters? Because there's gonna be lots of those in our lifetimes. Yippee!
So the mechanical challenge with this molecule is that, so this is a TI puzzle and an area puzzle. There are 11 atoms in this molecule, and you get 1 in the input. This is a bad ratio. This is a no good, very bad ratio that you have to come up with some way to deal with, because TI normally likes numbers like 6 and 2. You don't get to do that in this puzzle. Very on brand for me to make an animismus puzzle with a terrible ratio. Shocker, shocker.
Yeah, and so the puzzle for TI is coming up with a good strategy to deal with that terrible ratio. And there are several different approaches that we will see. And one strategy is to just kind of not bother and just, program the solution from beginning to end, which is, as we saw before, what our first solution does. Are we ready to?
No, one moment. Let me finish my soup.
Bist, you still slurping?
Keep talking.
Yeah. So originally this was an RI puzzle rather than a TI puzzle. I was negotiated down to TI, and it still worked for the same reason. That ratio. Area was something I came up with after designing this puzzle for the intended RI, and I think area worked pretty darn well.
Yeah, it seems seems like it went down a real treat. We had a very good number of submissions for both metrics this week, unlike last week, which was a little bit unbalanced, shall we say, between sum and instructions. But all in all, people's notes are of the opinion this was a very well designed and enjoyable puzzle. So yes, I look forward to seeing everybody's solves.
Yeah, I'm glad people had fun with it.
Thank you for filling in for me. I am back. Hello, I have finished my dumpling soup. Greetings.
Lessons we have learned from this puzzle is that zigzag's good.
Zigzag good.
Zigzag's good.
Wait, I am not ready for this puzzle. I haven't downloaded the most recent solutions. Oops.
Ah, dear.
Let me do that real quick.
It's all right. We're only 8 minutes in. I think
8 minutes? Yeah.
It took us nearly twice that long to get started last week. So yeah, this is fast.
It took that long last week? Truly a Zorflex stream.
Another thing to talk about with this puzzle is that this is a big molecule. Vitae's on one end, Mors is on the other. That is another thing people playing this puzzle had to figure out how to deal with. Because the glyph of animismus is already kind of unwieldy, but now you're routing the atoms in very different directions.
Let me just make sure everything is set up properly. Alright, we should be good to go. It's like, how many minutes are we into stream? 9 minutes. That should be fine. Alright, let's go. First off, in 20th place, we have 70 Storm. Totally new solution. You guys have never seen this before.
World first, everyone.
World first, world premiere.
Okay, yes. So, as we mentioned, one strategy for dealing with an awkward ratio is to not really deal with the ratio at all and just program,
Yeah.
Just
So
all
program.
the way through,
Do it
one item
11
at a time.
times. Mm-hmm.
yeah, this strategy has a unique advantage over all the other ones in that it's completely clean. You don't have to worry about geometry. You don't have to worry about waste. It just is what you want it to be. The only problem it has is that it takes a lot of instructions.
It's quick, it's easy, it's trackless. Perfect. It fits the trackless instructions method. It sure is trackless and it sure has instructions. Anyways, notes for this off. 70 Storm says, well, what can I say about this? It's an 11 input, 1 output deal. Well, 5 of the inputs will be turned into sawed, in which 2 are used for anime. The rest is kind of self-explanatory. Also, we already have too much sand. Why would we need more? Yeah. Moving on then, we have in 19th place at 95 Ti and 627 Aereo, we have Ambiventus, who says the solution is probably bad, but you know, at least it is in last place. Technically, there were two more solutions that were even worse than 7T stores, but they're not really TI solves, they're area solves that happen to be trackless.
So in this solve, we... Oh, sorry, Kazian.
I was going to say what you were saying.
Oh, I see.
Wow,
Yeah.
y'all just read each other's minds. None of you actually said anything yet.
Great minds and all that. But yeah, so in this solve, we see another strategy for dealing with ratios of any kinds, really, which is you encode the number that you want to produce in the geometry of the puzzle itself. In this case, by building a stick 11 atoms long, and then having one part of the machine grab the stick when it's of the appropriate length, and then proceed with all of the material from there. So this is an 11p solve, adding one
What
atom
over 11,
every
I
10.
assume?
Sorry, yes, 1/11th.
Yeah. Ambiventus also has notes. Oh, you can go first, Kazuya.
So this is better than individually writing out each Earth atom you want to grab. Its downside is that after you have the stick, you do have to process each part of the stick. So you're maybe processing like half as many atoms because you have 2 atoms bonded together, as you can see by the layout of those debonders. But it did save a lot over 7T Sorn.
It saved it's about twice as better, with about half as many instructions, in fact.
Yeah,
And
this is sorry.
You can talk.
What I was going to say is this is the price you pay for treating every input atom the same, is that you then have to dedicate a large amount of machinery to treating them all differently once you've counted out the correct number, which is another way of explaining the very large number of instructions accounted for on the right-hand side.
And all that being said, the solution title says it's probably bad, but I don't know what you're talking about. The game said your machine made the desired product.
So true. Anyways, I'm gonna read their notes real quick. This solve is blatantly a trackless instruction solve. The product requiring 11 reagents meant there was no clean way to divide it to utilize arms that don't reset themselves in one instruction cycle to minimize instructions by having them not grab atoms, allowing other arms to do different things within a smaller instruction window. That was a very long sentence without any commas. Instead, I chained 11 atoms together and flung that around to get a similar effect. Seeing as this was my first ever solve where I tried to optimize trackless instructions, for this or any other puzzle, I'm happy with it. And you should be.
Yeah, well
it's got
done.
690 costs, how could you not?
Perfect. But yeah, TI is a notoriously counterintuitive metric and is not kind to first-time submitters, so I think you should consider it a real achievement.
Yeah, TI is when us playing Opus Magnum get bored and start messing around with weird and wacky metrics. But alright, moving on then, we have in 18th place at 88 Ti and 121 area, we have Transcendental Guy. Procrastination, this was submitted last second.
In between Pareto submissions, I believe, for campaign puzzles.
So this basically does what 7T Storm Solution does, but better, I suppose. It's hard-coded, it's trackless. It gets the job done.
Got a stylish input suppression moment.
Mm-hmm.
2 of them, actually.
Oh wow, yeah. But this is our first time seeing this motif with 2 arms either side of a bonder, putting a single atom on and pivoting in both directions to create this zigzag, which is, that's just a little bit of experimentation. Will get you that, and it's a very compelling motif, very tempting to build off of. So I'm not surprised that we're seeing it so early.
Mm-hmm.
There are no notes for this edition because there was no time for notes.
Are you also looking at the notes, Kazian? Technically, you can follow along with your own parser.
I'm following along.
He's following along. All right.
I just know this one has no notes because this one was the reason I had to re-download the solutions and such.
Yeah, that's fair. Zorflex says, to be fair, this solution actually speaks for itself for once. True.
Yeah.
Unlike a certain Mr. Shampoo. Alright. Next up, we have in 17th place, with 78 Ti and 104 area, we have Greenfield. Fishtail. This is also building one by one. But with slightly less instructions somewhere. 10 less instructions somewhere.
Appears to be the animismus handling because the zigzag is pretty consistent. There's not an obvious way to save instructions when you're using arms like these.
Mm-hmm. Transcendental Guy says, could be way lower if I hadn't made it in the last 10 minutes.
True that.
Truly
we know Transcendental Guy is good at saving instructions and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Burrito walks and all.
Transcendental Guy is also good at writing a shit ton of instructions, as with Cassian's puzzle last year.
Yeah, that... I'm never going to live down pitch drop. As it should be.
As it should be. But yes, Greenfield in the note says, this wasn't too difficult to get, and I'm sure others came up with this construction method, as we've seen already, by just pivoting a bunch to get the structure, then casting specific sections over glyphs of calcification, and Brillo's your uncle. I didn't intend for the Middle Earth to be calcified before it ends, but I'm glad I didn't have to do a pivot about the Vitae.
I like how this was attentive to the second area of area.
Mm-hmm. Is it less area than the previous solve? It is by... I'm not doing math on stream. I think it's 17. Zorflax says you can live down pitch drop once the winning solve finishes running. Well, that's gonna be a solid endeavor.
Yeah, between pitch drop and this, it seems like you've got a bit of a fixation with sort of like time and
suspending it.
Yeah.
And unhinged numbers, apparently. So many yeah, I forgot there's ads on my Twitch. I hope y'all are enjoying the ads. You are giving me, I don't know, like half a cent for every ad you watch. I don't know how that works. But on the bright side, if you follow my Twitch chat, you get to send a Zuri pulse in my chat.
So ultimately, worth every minute.
It's worth the Azuri pulse. Everybody is sending a Azuri pulse in chat.
Were you ready for the next one?
We are ready for the next one. Next up in 16th place at 54 Ti and 208 area, we have Mikulius. Did Mikulius submit last week, or is this the new person?
I do not remember. But
Me
in any case,
neither.
that's a bit of a drop.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. This is very appreciably different from anything that we've seen so far.
It sure is doing the thing.
Yeah, so this is 1/6 P, as you can see from the fact that there are arms, single arms doing a grab, rotate, drop, like arm 11.
Arm 8 is the one that's handling giving 2 salt to Animismus. It's doing it quite an interesting way. Take a look at the instructions of Arm 8. Yeah.
So this belongs to a family of solutions that we're going to see more of, which attempts to solve the problem of 11 by saying, what if we just give Animismus its own pipeline? Then I don't have to deal with 11, then I have to deal with 9, which is still not like a great number, but you can work with it.
9 is, it's divisible by 3 at least. Unlike 11, which is divisible by 11.
11.
Yeah. So it's importantly, it's not co-prime to 6. It shares a factor of 3. So, yes, there is some division that you can do there.
And 2 isn't that hard either. Just use a triarm, of which this solve has plenty.
Also, the V4 in the title, yes, Mikulius did submit a bunch of iterations on this.
I assume this
and
is
this
the
is
fourth iteration.
what we ended up with.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes people just put in whatever they want. Sometimes people submit like a new solution 59.
I think only like Cuckoo 52 does that.
Yeah, I think Cuckoo 52 is the person. No, this time he submitted new solution 7. I think that might actually be new solution 7. But yeah, Mikulia says no notes. We are moving on. Next up, at 51 Ti and at 1 area prime, we have Suckboy.
Ha 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 ha.
Where's Saul?
Where is? Ah! Oh my goodness! Wow.
Okay, I remember this one. This one's fun. So
Oh yeah.
there are two major things to talk about in this solution. The first one is...
I think we should probably explain what area prime is first.
Yeah. So area prime, that means for every output, this machine adds 1 area in forever. This is done by another general family of approaches to 11, which is to say, just grab 12 instead and then pluck 1 atom off and put it onto a waste chain. Now you have 11.
11 plus 1 equals 12. Wow.
Yeah, the other thing to talk about in this solution is Suckboy makes a bold argument that slappy sticks are so good that they're not just a thing you do to save instructions, but that it may in fact be worth adding instructions just to get a slappy stick as a tool.
Very bold claim indeed. Traditionally, a slappy stick is a strategy that is sees its best use in puzzles where you have a multi-atom input, because then you don't have to spend time prepping molecules to be able to build the slappy stick with. So we can see that originally this solve has to join two inputs together, after which it can start doing the small hex arm can start doing the slappy stick stuff.
Also, has it not outputted
yes.
yet?
Yeah. You know, it's giving mechanism area. You know what I mean?
It's mechanism area, but we sure have a lot of mechanisms. Using
I
up
mean,
a lot
like,
of area.
I mean, the way that the stick, that Sakurai is attempting to manipulate the stick here, it just reminds me a lot of those 3 mechanism area solutions for crystallized air.
Yeah. It's like those 3 mecha
Oh!
cells, but you have a bit of additional help.
Here it comes!
Here it comes!
Yay! We made
The
an output!
Yay!
Y'all are watching it
okay,
on delay. It will output it a while ago for me. Oh, there's the extra single atom. That's the one area prime right there, folks.
So it is pretty stylish that one hand of that bi-arm at the end grabs a piece of waste and then just it never goes onto a waste chain or anything. It just swings around the carousel for the rest of forever.
Yeah, that bi-arm has a little stim toy that it likes to play with while it's outputting. Yeah, so this takes quite a long time to get going, but then it is 1/6. It is ultimately 1/6 P. Yes, it'll be very interesting to see if anyone else goes for the slappy stick.
Also, Sackboy has notes. Sackboy says, "Is baking a slappy stick efficient? No idea. I wanted to throw together a slappy stick and then try one without to see which approach was better, but getting a slappy stick solution took me so much time that I never got to try the other approach. I got arms 1 to 8 working pretty quickly, but then the surgery on the stick took me a long time to wrap my head around. I ended up using arms 9 and 10 to alter the geometry of the stick, which feels a bit like cheating, and costs extra 10 instructions. This approach also ends up with an extra salt that needs to go on a trash stick. I think I might have been better to spend a few more instructions bulking up the stick from the start. Having more atoms in the stick should make things easier to manipulate. When it gets very thin, it's hard to manipulate without arms because the same atoms want to be on a debonder to detach, but also on a bonder to reattach. Then I probably wouldn't need the disposal arm at the end. There would just be a giant trash stick, and we will be looking at area double prime instead." But alright, yeah, that's the notes. Alright, moving on then. We have in 14th place at 46 Ti at 10 area prime, we have Vilfuck. 10? How does one get 10?
Oh, good grief. Wow.
What's 10 plus 7? 21? You're still dealing with 7. Why are you dealing with the number 7?
Okay. I remember the sprinkles approach.
I think I see how 7 is dealt with. Ah, it outputs, I see. So despite being 7 waste atoms, it actually adds 8 area per output, and the other 2 is Vitae and Morse.
Yeah. So Vilfuck simply found a cool motif to make both zigzag earth and get animismus attached to it in a concise way, and then work forward from that motif to make sand of suspension.
Well, it sure works.
No, it certainly does. Sorry.
It is without a doubt a concise way to make the product. A lot of these instructions just come from waste handling, frankly.
Yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate. This bears a lot of resemblance to the sort of solve that you when you're developing a TI solve, you come up with a nice low instruction motif, and then you just sort of slap a load of machinery on to get it working, and then you hope that you can, with some rearrangement, get rid of that extra machinery. But in this case, Bill Funk either chose not to or couldn't find a way to adjust it, or to sort of
Well,
decided
the
this
notes
was
say, somewhat pleased with armed
sorry.
1 to 5. The rest is tragic. I ran out of time. There's your answer.
Maybe I should also have the notes in front of me so I don't accidentally spoil them every time.
Oh, well, they're right there for you to download if you wish.
Yeah. Running out of time, the alchemist's biggest enemy.
Maybe you should put yourself in sense of suspension instead.
I'm beginning to understand why.
Wait, no, actually, you're supposed to put the rest of the world in sense of suspension while you work on the solution. Yeah, that's how it works.
Just do a supervillain plot, easy.
The supervillain plot of dumping the sands of suspension over a whole tri-state area. Alright, let's move on. Next off, we have a host solve by Panic with 45 Ti and 3 area double prime.
Yeah, so as I recall, this was just a solve that Panic put together to test whether or not the area calculation would work for a quadratically growing waste.
Yeah, that's the only purpose of this solution.
People celebrating in the chat that they beat a host solve. No, don't feel down, Dark Brick. You know, you should still feel proud of yourself.
People are making Phineas and Ferb jokes in the chat now. This is great. That's just the 3 area prime is this swinging stack up here. Don't ask me how area prime is calculated, I do not know.
I assume the person who coded in area double prime knows how it works and nobody else.
And that person would be Panic, and this is Panic solve. So, Panic, I hope this is correct. I assume it is. Donuts for the solve. Moving on, we have in 13th place, at 43 Ti and 1 area prime, we have Dark Brick. I want my tracks back. This is referencing the area solve. Anyways, the notes say, the bottom region that assembles a thick stick of earth atoms is a pretty good start instructions-wise, but I have no idea how you'd efficiently get from that to a full product, given you need to put Vitae on one side of the product and Mors on the other, both of which come from the same glyph. If you try to take off a bigger stick to have a separate animismus on each side of the product, then your stick is no longer a perfect 6 periods long. Psst, props to Cassian for making things line up well. And all hell breaks loose. I'm excited to see what brilliant minds of the greater alchemical community come up with for this puzzle, as I'm clearly not smart enough for this metric. Good luck, everyone. As long as I get my hands on a new pair of headphones before the showcase stream, as my previous one broke while working on this solve. How do your
Thank you,
headphones
Arthur.
break while playing Opus Magnum of all games?
If you accidentally put them on the wrong end of a glyph of projection.
But yeah, this is counting to 12. Yeah, this is another counting to 12 solve.
Yep. You know, that piston on the left making the waste chain, the rest of it just handles the 11. Does it in a pretty straightforward way. I like how after the salt atoms that go into the animismus are debonded and actually get put over there, the rest of the 9 just do happen to arrive over there just by riding on the same arm they got to the debonder with.
Arm reusage. The best part about TI. And glyph reusage. That calcification glyph is used twice. The rightmost one. Pure speculation, I think 3A prime means 3 atoms added to the change multiplied by the number of swings which is on, so you get 3. I mean, technically, what it's supposed to mean is that, for every product, the amount of area, the growth rate is, there's 3 added to the growth rate. So basically it's 3 area prime per... It's 1 area prime more per output for each area double prime. Is how it's defined, I think. Please correct me if I'm wrong. For anybody who is actually knowledgeable and knows this shit.
Your product may be the 10th.
I'm not good at explaining things. Don't ask me why I'm...
Quadratic.
Yeah.
We don't have a concise way to talk about quadratic growth.
Yeah.
You just kind of have to hope people understand what quadratic growth means.
I'm not here to learn and teach calculus. What's the opposite of integrals?
Derivatives.
Derivatives, yeah. It's the growth rate of the growth rate. Yeah, that's the best way I can describe it. It can even be irrational. Yeah, it can be. That's why it's actually represented as a fraction in terms of, well, I mean, it's represented as best as it can in a fraction. Because fractions, by definition, cannot define irrationals. Yep. Alright, next off. We have at 43 Ti as well, but at 182 area flat. We have Cuckoo 52.
Okay.
Still
So
43
Cuckoo
area,
52,
but...
as always, has something pretty cool and Cuckoo 52 brained.
I have no idea what it's doing.
Oh, I like the look of this.
There are no notes to this solve, but I don't know if its solve is speaking for itself.
Okay. So, the cool part. How Cuckoo 52 deals with 11 is by... So it looks like the solution is attempting to pluck off 12 inputs into a brick and then rearrange that brick. But the thing is, while using animismus, the vitae atom actually gets used to suppress the
Yeah.
the earth for for one of the input draws. So because that Earth gets suppressed, one of the Earth just never actually comes out. So instead of pulling 12, you're pulling 12 minus 1 for the Vitae doing a sneaky, and that's 11.
And this is also a perfect way to get the Vitae on the other side from the Moors, because it gets put in the, and it gets pushed along with the additional Earth input. Oh, that's really, that is.
It gets put earlier in the stack.
That is so unique and cool, and yeah.
Yeah, that describes
I'm
Cuckoo
just a
52
little bit sad
alright.
it isn't lower, because this is amazing.
I don't think Cuckoo 52 exactly well, I mean, maybe he optimized for good, but I think he optimized more so for cool.
But you can see with this idea how Cuckoo 52 was able to improve on the previous solutions. It just good all around.
Yeah.
Also,
I mean, we
Zorfak
have
says
seen.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're about to say the same thing I was saying.
Well, we have seen a 12. We have seen 12 minus 1, but none that don't have any waste. Whereas, well, this obviously has some permanent waste that's left on the board, but it doesn't have an infinitely growing waste chain.
Yeah, and it mattered because this is better than Dark Solution, which has the exact same TI, mind you, but has one waste stick growing. It would have tied otherwise. Well, I mean, I guess it wouldn't have. It would have been worse otherwise because it's more expensive, yeah.
This is the kind of thing that you see in TI that you really don't have any reason to see in basically any other metric, and I love it. Yeah. Thank you for submitting this, Cuckoo 52.
A prime calculation is for nerds, Cuckoo 52. I think he's still calculating with 12 minus 1. Can I restart the machine? Sure. Let's watch it from the beginning again.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I mean, I assume that waste comes about because it has to. There's like
there's setup involved, I think.
Because
yeah,
Vitae gets fed back in.
Yeah, it needs to be pushed further enough for the Vitae to be pushed back. It takes time, like all good things.
Part of me wonders whether, like, you could use some of that material as like wanding stuff to. No. Yeah, very cool.
Alright, moving on then. We have in 11th place, at 38 Ti and 1 area, Prime, we have 42 Genius 42. Hickey 38. The notes say, if only I could combine some of the function into fewer arms. Also, a shame about the waste arm, which alone uses 6 instructions. The fact the product has an odd number of atoms means you either need to have waste or deal with two different zigzags chirally opposite, which seemed the worst option. At least with this setup. I look forward to seeing the solves under 20i. Bold prediction. Bold prediction that sub 20i solves exist.
Okay,
it's funny. No, you go, Cassian.
Okay. Here we're seeing the start of a new variation on the zigzag, which is using 2 hex arms to create it. And that saves 1 instruction per arm, so that's pretty good. And the rest of 42 Genius 42 solution seems to just be doing the geometry more efficiently than previous solutions, which is good.
Otherwise, this is mostly a solve you've seen before. Counts to 12, subtracts 1, does everything else. Alright, moving on then, we have at 36 Ti and 1 area double prime, we have X-Sucker AAA. Suspicious of Sam.
congratulations on top 10, Egg Sucker 888.
How's it double prime? What would be swinging that thing?
Yeah, I can see that arm on the far right is going to be making a swinging away stick.
New zigzag motif detected.
With the piston instead. That's a lot of instructions.
Oh, and that I think we've not seen this strategy for getting the ETA Mors on the opposite ends of the molecule, which is just to pivot the molecule around its center.
Right round, baby.
Zorflex saying pivot of the week watch starting now. That's pivoting, all right. Arm
No, I
6
think
do
you, I
be
think you have
pivoting.
to. I think you have to be on stream to declare a pivot of the week, Zorflex. I'm looking out for input suppression of the week.
Let me improve the solution. There we go.
Gotta do it. We gotta do it.
We got it. Oh, wait. One moment.
Why?
Right. Gotta do it.
The Stevening.
The Stevening. Oh, wait, no, they're gone. I pressed F10. Blah. Blah. F10 reloads the solution. Ah, well. Stevenizing the solve. I added pistons to the pivot arms. That's what I did. It's the Steven arms. But alright, this solve has no
Sorry,
notes.
I
Oh, you're
sorry,
gonna
I was
say?
a little bit tuned out for the area prime thing. But I don't remember how the calculation is done, but I remember what the thing means. The number is the number of atoms that are added to the waste chain. The prime, or the number of primes, dictates how fast the area function grows. 1 prime is linear, 2 primes is quadratic. The reason it's quadratic is because you're swinging through a sector of a circle, the area of which grows quadratically with the radius.
Yeah.
So that is the most succinct way I can think to put as to how the infinite area thing works.
Area prime is the growth rate of the area. Area double prime is the growth rate of the area, I think.
Yes.
No. Area double prime is just in. Oh no. Sorry. Yeah, I think we're saying the same thing. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily atoms. It's just area, because we saw a solution where it used more area than there were atoms.
Okay. We can talk about notation later.
Area triple prime does not exist. Not with that attitude. Alright, next up we have in 9th place at 36 Ti as well, but only one area prime, not double prime. We have 4. So who is 4? Is who 4?
No, we're not doing this again.
I don't actually know. Albatross, reveal yourself if this is you. Who is 4? I don't know. Who is 4? Maybe who is 4. Maybe 4 is who. Who knows? Who knows?
I think I'm having a stroke. I agree.
But yeah, this is another stick of 12, remove 1 atom, and then finding the most efficient way to turn the remaining wad of 11 into Santa suspension.
Albatross responded, "This is him." I thought so.
Incremental improvements in the whole anime wrangling and geometry wrangling going on through these solutions. Good to see.
Otherwise, largely the same motifs as we've seen before.
Yeah, this is where I think we're starting to get into the realm of where TI can be really challenging, and it tests your spatial reasoning a lot. You have to work out how to manipulate geometry using a very small number of repeated actions, the results of which can often be very hard to predict and sort of map out in your head. Yeah.
Also, there's notes. The note said, "I had a wasteless version, but it was worse." At least that waist isn't swinging, because that would not have cost you a placement because Exarch. No, it would. No, you're more expensive than Exarch for AAA. Yeah. Alright, moving on. We have in 8th place at 34 Ti at 1 area prime, Fuyu. Touched grass. Yeah, the soft sand looks an awful lot like grass. Kazian, do you have anything to say about that?
H-Bar guy, don't cancel me.
Oh, this is... I don't know that we've seen quite this motif for building the zigzag before, have we? A piston and a hex arm together?
Lots of people
We've seen one that was almost this, but
yeah, but it had
the
2
other
extra
one
instructions. No, this
Yeah.
is pivoting 1 extra instruction. I think I don't remember.
Oh, so it's the same amount of instructions as the 2 pivoting hex arms, because this is 3 on the hex arm and 5 on the piston.
So the big central hex arm does the work of transferring the big brick over to the arm at the bottom. It also loads one of the salt into animismus, and it takes it takes the waste earth towards where it can be stuck to the chain. Does a lot of work there.
Arm 3 is
Yeah,
doing a
very
lot,
good
yeah.
reuse.
Anyways, no notes for this all, and we are moving on then. In 7th place, we have at 34 Ti as well, and also 1 area prime, but 380 cost, beating this out by 20 gold. We have Mr. Posel. I still have no idea how to pronounce that.
Mr. Arpioza.
Mr.
Are we having a
Piozo.
pile up around 34? That
We're
seems
having
like
a pile up
around
on 34 at 1 area prime, it seems. This is 20 cost better.
Okay. We out here zigging our zag.
This is also the first team we've seen. True.
Yeah, we have the efficient waste chain sticking on thing of the waste earth just going around until it arrives at a piston with 4 instructions on it. And besides that, it's just doing the geometry better.
Well, I mean, it's also just less cost. So, don't know where that comes from.
Yeah.
Probably probably having less pistons, if I were to guess. Yeah,
It's a small enough cost that there's no like one thing you can point at.
Yeah. Sergio, do you think tying an area prime is easy? Yeah, especially if everybody's doing one area prime.
Yeah.
Also,
Good
the
work.
notes. The
Good
note
work.
says the notes say no nuts.
Yes. So
The
yeah,
notes
good work
say
for you. Good
no
work.
nuts. Yes. Mhm.
Yes. Who is on first?
No. Who's ninth?
I'm gonna go insane.
True.
You don't have us to blame. You have who to blame. Alright, next up, in 6th place, we have, still at 34 Ti, but 198 area flat, we have another team, Avenge Ruler plus Skyhawk. It uses input suppression to send the input back, instead of making a waste stick. Good job. That is a clever way to deal with the waste. I wonder if we're going to see more of it.
Yeah, it's kind of a niche idea, but in some puzzles, the input is the disposal.
So true. Skyhawk has written notes. He says, I'm sure people with more TI practice can find cool ways to have each arm do multiple things. It does seem most arms are doing one thing, but they're doing them
Yeah.
well.
So a lot of the reason this solve comes out ahead is because, yes, each arm is only doing one thing, but it seems like each one thing only needs to be done by one arm instead of multiple arms, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's doing the same number of things, but it is minimized the number of different arms that it needs to do each of those things. So it edges out some of the previous ones.
I mean, I also assume arm 9 doing waste is much more efficient because it's literally only 3 instructions.
Good
Yeah,
stuff.
and I think we can say that arm 1 is doing more than one thing because it is handling the waste as well in conjunction.
No, that's
with
arm 2.
Oh, wait, yeah, whatever the number of that hex arm is.
Yeah, that's arm 2.
It's so small on my screen.
There we go. You can see the number nice and clearly now. I hope.
The solution doesn't have double prime, so you can zoom in.
Well, I mean, it's still nicer to like view it at about this zoom.
Yeah, I would be surprised if we were done with the infinite area solves.
Well, the next solve doesn't have it. In 5th place, we have at 31 Ti, a drop compared to the pileup we've been having. At 176 area flat, we have Crazy Bot. We're doing addition. We're doing 6 plus 2 plus 3.
Okay. I saw this solution beforehand, and this one cooks. So this is going back to the older idea of what if we just gave Animismus a different pipeline, but what if, like, in the process of doing that, we, got good?
It's 2 plus 9, except 9 is further split into 6 and 3.
Well done, Crazybot, on top 5. This it's got some very cool ideas in it. Yeah, very
Crazy
well
Boss says, first time this actually feels deserved. Hell yeah. Wasn't last time just last week?
Yeah.
Anyways, Crazybot
The-
has notes. Oh, you go first.
The hex arm plus tri-arm is part of the sauce here.
Mm-hmm. That's the 6 plus 3, I think. Yeah. But alright, notes. The output has 11 atoms. I broke this down into 6 plus 3 plus 2, so I could use a hex arm, tri-arm, and bi-arm to grab the right number of inputs. The bi-arm sends its inputs to animismus, while the tri-arm and hex arm creates 3 triangles to form the core of the output. Lastly, 2 arms grab the mores and the vitae to complete the molecule and fix all the errant bonds. And 1 more pivots it into place. This is definitely unoptimized though. Looking forward to seeing the rest of the solutions. Unoptimized gets 5th place anyways. Alright. Next up, we have in 4th place at 29 Ti and 234 area flat. We have Chameleon. For being a new player, she's been really good at this game.
Oh wow, yeah.
We are sub 30.
A new player and someone who doesn't have a lot of time working on these solutions. I can see the arm returning input back, returning the waste back into the input. First time duped? I don't know, maybe.
I'm pretty sure this is the first time we've seen duplication.
Yeah, it's there to fix accidental calcification. The notes say, wanted to get rid of 1 more arm but couldn't figure out how.
I can see where that
If geometry were better, I would assume R9 wouldn't have to be necessary. Because it's currently just a handoff arm.
It takes 6 instructions to get the waste earth to return home, so I can see why Chameleon would be looking for 1 more arm to cut, but
well,
didn't work out.
Arm 6 needs to be there anyways. Oh no, Arm 8 does the... Yeah.
It's arms 8 and 9 in conjunction. Yeah, that's unfortunate.
6 instructions. That would have made this 23 Ti. That could have been solved with better geometry.
That said, 4th place. This is a very good solution. It solved the issues in creating this molecule pretty well.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go get some water. I'll be right back. Y'all can talk a little bit more about the solution.
Yep. So we also have so in a lot of previous solutions, the waste atom itself was being held when the molecule is detached from it. Here, the completed molecule is detached from it and deposited in the output glyph, and the waste is just sort of hanging out on that debonder there, and just eventually the solution gets around to dealing with it before the next one.
It probably could have been faster. Unless Arm 8 does some kind of accidental grab elsewhere that it needs to avoid.
It could be faster, but there is no need for it to be faster because cycles are not part of the metric at all.
Well, I mean, even if cycles were part of the metric, I don't think the speed of which the waste atom gets out of the way is important.
Fair enough.
Alrighty. Next up, in 3rd place, we have at 25 Ti and 302 area flat. We have Rypiv versus Rynin and JPiv. I don't know which person can this off. Maybe them both.
Bit of a drop coming into top 3.
Mm-hmm.
Exciting.
Now what does this shit do?
It does what Crazybot did, but even better.
It does. yeah, this is another 6+3.
Well, that arm 6 is doing a lot.
Yeah, so having an arm which grabs, rotates, pivots, drops, effectively doubles the number of things that a single arm can do, because at every point in its rotation, it gets 2 distinct orientations that the molecule gets to go through. So this is a motif for drastically increasing the number of different operations you can do on a molecule. It's not being particularly, it's not doing all that much here, but yeah, it's a very handy thing in TI.
I really like arm 6. arm 6 is doing a lot.
It's called out in chat, the interaction of arm 2 and 3. I think that's part of the sauce of this solution. In the way CrazyBot did it, there were 2 arms to stack sets of 3 Earth atoms into the line of 9, and then that 9 was transferred off of the third arm, if I recall correctly. Here, you just need 2 arms to make the stack, but those 2 arms also move that stack of 9 elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
It is just cool.
Yeah, that's how TI solves are. Cool.
Sir GD, I do not have a showcase solve.
No, Cassian
there is one.
Cassian, true to host spirit, did not solve his own puzzle. Did you? I forgot.
Azuripaw.
Azuripaw. Alright. Notes says 24 is just 1 length forearm away, or 1 swing's worth of collision immunity. And if geometry was a little nicer, we could see it going down to 22. Unfortunately, it's not, so this is where we... Unfortunately, it's not, so this is where we ended up. Still, pretty good if we say so ourselves. Much better than before a redesign of a previous solution that made some funky choices. We got stuck at 32 on that one. Also, Raiden says this was mostly him. Azuri pause in chat. I'm also sending Azuri pause in chat. Alright, there we go. Alright, next up. In second place, we have at 24 Ti and 204 area flat. We have Cali Races.
This is my favorite solve, I think.
I also just want to read the notes first. Didn't have much time this week, so this is just the first attempt. I've wanted to use ARM1 in a TI solution for a while, so I built around that. Not sure if it's actually good here. I'm guessing min will be sub 20.
Okay, we need to talk about ARM1. Actually, you know what? Let's not talk about ARM1. Let's just watch it.
So this is the first and only 1/33p solve.
Oh god.
Because ARM1 grabs a new atom once every 3 tape loops, and it grabs all 11 atoms one at a time and adds them to a big block.
This is more powerful than Biggie breaking, I suppose. I guess this you could consider this Biggie breaking, but it's not big stick slapping. It sure is bricking still.
Yeah. This not to anticipate what is coming, but in terms of like pure instructions wise, this is probably the most efficient way that I can even think of to get like a big 11 atom chunk. The all of the additional machinery on the right hand side is somewhat of an unfortunate thing compared with.
Sergi D, the person who hasn't shown up, says Arm 1 can be used for anime buffer. Well,
What
I
is
guess
this
we're
mysterious
probably.
anime cover?
I guess we'll be seeing that maybe.
No, I think doesn't Sergi mean like animismus buffer the puzzle?
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah,
Oh,
because
that
it produces
puzzle.
the animismus buffer shape. In
I see.
like
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. This is just a weirdly shaped animismus buffer, honestly.
But yeah, this is a very good demonstration of another thing about TI, which is that since glyphs don't cost instructions, a very complex field of glyphs can be used to store a large amount of information and then do surprising and complex operations on the molecule that you're building. Yeah.
Alright, moving on though. We have in first place at drumroll 21 Ti.
Oh
No
no!
sub 20. At 145 area flat, we have Sergi D.
okay.
Well,
I have
that's
been dying to
deceptively
talk about
simple.
how this one
Yeah.
works.
Yeah. This
It is.
another.
It's actually so cool how it arrives at 11. So we are seeing the similar zigzag, two hex arms making the zigzag motif that were in previous solutions, but you'll notice that one of the hex arms is going backwards to pass some salt over the glyph of animismus. And the thing is, when the glyph of animismus fires, one salt is taken out of the stream, and the head of the stream goes backwards one by one hex, and that salt becomes Mors now. And because it goes backwards by one hex, one earth from the other hex arm actually escapes from that bonder, and it goes all the way back around the carousel to do input disposal. And so not only is that 12, does that get the 12 minus 1 thing to happen, but as part of that, Sergi D has created animismus, and also the Mors is in the molecule now. How much work left is there to do? Not very much.
Yeah. This is. Yeah, I mean, this idea is just completely unique, and only one other person even used duplication. Because of an accidental calcification.
Yeah, that was accidental calcification. This is intentional.
This is very deliberate, and it even gets to skip. It even gets to leave one of the salts as a salt rather than duplicating it because it's in exactly the right place in the output molecule. Yeah.
This is what we call TI magic. The previous solve was also TI magic. But this is also TI magic.
When I said I was looking out for input suppression of the week, this is what I had in mind. Like this recycling is just it's just so slick.
Also, notes. Sergi D says, I have a better setup, better than this apparently, that counts to 11, but anime was harder to wire. I think minutes around 17 or 18i, and I would be surprised if it goes lower. Pretty slick puzzle design. Is the counting to 11 whatever the fuck Caloresis did? I'm curious.
Yeah, we're really curious actually, Sergi, what your mechanism is.
Or counting to 11, apparently. We will see Eventually. Maybe after stream. Who knows? Or maybe Sir GD is typing in the chat as we speak.
I wonder, would this be also once we've taken the appropriate time to admire this, which is, I mean, it's so beautiful. I love this solve so much. I attempted to get this lower. I failed, but in a, well,
also, Sir GD says no.
in a somewhat interesting way. So I don't know whether you want to show that now rather than wait for the showcase while we've got it on the mind.
Wait until showcase. I'm too lazy to boot it up.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, so I have a 20 Ti which makes one output and then breaks. It's very similar to this, and the reason why it doesn't work is simply because it cannot get that atom that ARM1 recycles ends up stuck on the front of the next molecule. So the second output onwards just breaks the machine, which is unfortunate.
We might see a sub 20 Ti after this stream. Who knows?
Yeah, I expect the wizards to put their heads together and make something special.
The wizards are gonna do the fusion dance and make a sub 20 Ti solve. Yes.
But yes, congratulations, Sir GD, on another extraordinary solution, and well done to everyone for your solves. Yeah.
Alrighty then. We shall be moving on to our area metric now. Let me boot that back up.
I'm just going to go grab some water and stuff, but I will be back.
Alright, grab your water.
What was that?
grab your water. Yes.
Thank you.
Everybody else can take a bio break if you need it as well. Grab a tomato too. I don't think Yui was here to hear that. Specifically a tomato. Tomato. No tomatoes around here, only tomatoes. We love making fun of the British. Hello, Jasper, going to the extreme. Oh, uh-oh. Who needs consonants anyways? The only consonants we need are... The only consonant we need is a glottal stop. I could probably zoom in before we do the area solves because I don't think area solves will be that big. Just a hunch.
Oh, you haven't started yet.
Oh yeah, no, I was waiting for you. People are saying that you want to
how
grab your
kind.
tomatoes.
Well, it's very kind of you. Well, I was going to say it was very kind of you to wait, but if that's the way you're going to be...
Blame Zorflags, he typed it. The evidence is in the Twitch chat.
Zorflax is not going to let my comment about Pivot of the Week go, is he?
But alright, let us begin.
We were all sad that you didn't submit for TIs or Flex. We were all waiting. You know,
We were
in the
waiting
last
for your
hour or
sub
so,
20
Mike.
Ti magic, yeah.
Yeah. Will he submit? We were saying to ourselves. And
Did
we
you
were all
try
so
working on it,
sad.
or did you finish your area solve and be like, yep, that's good enough? While we wait for
Right,
Zorflex
anyways,
to
sorry,
answer,
Bist, let's
yeah, we
we
can
get
begin.
going.
I'll be starting in 20th place and 99 area with realliances solve. Area over cycles. There's another cycles over area solve, which is slightly more cycles optimizes. Realliance decided to solve for whatever. But area seat happens to be the same metric as other people were optimizing for. It's not really an area solve, but it is a slightly more area conscious solve. The notes say, the solve prioritizes area over cycles. It is largely identical to my other submission, which at the time of this writing seems to be bugged. If you don't see that other submission, it means I couldn't fix it. We put it in showcase, you will see that submission. But yeah, you two have anything to say about this solve?
I think this solve speaks for itself.
The solve speaks for itself, alright.
It's zooming.
It's zooming. Next up, 17 Storm, we've seen that. MB Ventus, area solve. That's an area solve. Alright. At 32 area, and we have MB Ventus. That's a long track. The track should be tracking.
Just under 1/3 the area of the previous solve.
This is truly an area solve. W layout. Does it literally spell a W somewhere? It almost looks like a W. Yeah, W layout. So true. No minus tracks mod. No, because I'm not Zorflax.
It has a different bonder for every bond angle. It puts the animismus in the remaining spot under the output.
This
And the
person has not heard of
calcifier.
pivots.
There
And
is
the
one pivot. There is one pivot.
There's one pivot.
And the calcifier's in a spot where it does not care about what the one spot where it does not care whether or not
Oh, there's a pivot.
the atom being passed over it is
It may not be pivot of the week, but it sure is pivot of the solve. L instructions tray.
It must be so fun to be on one in this solve, just sliding back and forwards on that lovely long bit of track.
It be schmovin'.
like playing harmonica if your harmonica was filled with salt.
I'm trying to imagine how that would sound like. But yeah, this solve is a good place to explain that the concept of last slides, in which you want to make the last slide as easy as possible. We will see solutions that utilize a better last slide than having an entire row of 7 atoms at the bottom being your last slide. Not to mention this needs a double slide as well because of the shape of the output. Anyways, notes. The initial area solve was much worse. So much worse my meme solve had better area. So I applied techniques from it to get a much better area solve. I could probably shave some cycles off this solve with additional arms, but I worked 60 hours this week, so I do not have the time for that. Well, glad you can make time to even submit at all.
Yeah, we're happy just to have you.
Yikes.
Yeah. And I think
It's
they were
weekly.
mentioning earlier that they're on the night shift as well, which is that's rough.
Yeah.
In the end, this is the weeklies. We present it in competition format, but we're really here to have fun solving stupid puzzles.
All right. Next
Or,
up,
or to
we
be
have.
stupid solving fun puzzles.
Next up, we have at 29 area in 17th place. We have Trixie Kagami Alchemy Company. Height is like area, right? Right? Wow, it's a height solve. Yippee!
Can we get an H in chat?
Everybody send an H in chat. Anyways, there's lots of notes. I'm gonna start reading them. Why is it called the sound of suspension, anyways? I don't see it keeping anyone's pants up, huh? Oh, it's suspending life. I see. Wait, huh? Just being able to put any life form into stasis like that? Isn't that a little too much? This is like supervillain stuff. Don't make me do the line again. We're mass producing cryosleep, huh? What do you mean? What? Right, not invented yet. Forget it. I'll come back to you guys eventually. Give it a millennia or two. And then there's a line break to separate the lower from the solve notes. So area is a metric, yeah? As not great as I am at area puzzles, I figure height is also a metric, right? The output molecule is really long. Assembling this thing without swinging it around is undoubtedly a step in the right direction. So I set to work. I noticed the proper layout for the minimum area, but I think this is probably min area for h equals 2. Don't think so. Given you need to be able to access every hex of the anime glyph, therefore I will allow this to be the slowest 29 area solution, which, since I'm not sure it can go much slower, should place me around the middle of the pack this time around. I will not be doing a slappy stick because TI is a weird metric. I still struggle to wrap my brain around. I can see slappy stick type output is encouraged though, since the area at inf measurement system has changed for this puzzle specifically. Sorry for spoilers if area is going first. Anyways, this was a fun puzzle to do height for, and I'm excited to see how I place. This week's prediction is that there will be fewer RTI submitters than area submitters. Yeah, it's a boring broad prediction, but I have a habit of making wildly nonsensical predictions without realizing. For instance, I was going to predict that min area for this puzzle is 24 or lower. Ridiculous, I know. Trying to shake that by playing lame and winning games. Anyways, good luck to those placing above me. Signed, Trixie Kagami, the Cheshire Alchemist. Mass-producing cryosleep, in the way a supervillain might, since 2025. With my suspicious sandinator, I will enroll in a tri-state area. God.
To do it once for every metric.
Once per metric. Sounds like a nurse in a hospital schedule. People saying I think 29A is the min. For height? No, I think it could go lower, right? No, I'm pretty sure it can go lower.
I would be very surprised if 29 was the min.
Yeah.
Height was off.
Hello Jasper says 29 is definitely not min for height. Not gonna say a number, but it's definitely less. 29 areas min for 2H and that's proven otherwise. I think we will be proven otherwise, according to Hello Jasper.
Well, we might see some proofs and further solutions.
Hello Jasper solve is in too height. Oh well. Alright, next up we have in 16th place with 25 area and 994 cycles. Greenfield. Petite. Well, if that calcifier was within the height, this would certainly be less height. Well, less area in the same amount of height.
Yeah, but okay. So we have one fewer bonder in this solution than. No, I think it's the same amount of bonder as in Trixie Kagami's.
Yeah. Anyways, the notes say, hey, before you go on to a cooler swap, I've recently finished a little tour for everyone. Insert a link here that I will post in the Twitch chat. You're welcome. Here's a link that I would have posted in the Twitch chat. Enjoy. I have no idea what it does.
That sure is a link that you've posted in the Twitch chat.
Yeah, totally not a virus that Greenfield is trying to share with everyone.
Oh, it's a rate calculator that accounts for some of the big mods.
Kazian has now been infected with the Greenfield virus.
Yeah, Hannah Jasper points out very rightly that this is an H2 25 area solve in, with if you move the calcify behind the animismus.
Yeah,
and Hal Jasper says actually not quite, and the reason is that if you there's an input in the way of swinging it back around.
Yeah, no, I've just realized that. Yeah,
you have to do a little bit more shuffling, but it can be done.
Or you could have say have a 26 area and have an extra arm. It would probably help.
Oh yeah.
Instead of describing it, I'm sure somebody will be building it soon.
Have input also behind animus is true. I assume what they mean is essentially this. Or, you can reorder that however you wish. I'm not going to reprogram that. Anyways, next up, we have in 15th place at 23 area and 1,107 cycles, we have 42 Genius 42. A crocodile smile. People have been making all sorts of comparisons for this puzzle, this output shape.
Bit of a drop.
Bit of a drop. It's a 2-area drop. I guess we can count that as a bit. Also, single bonder.
Yeah, this is min glyphs with 3 track and 1 space, 1 hex used for. What is that equilibrium glyph used for?
It's used for the Vitae.
I see. It's used for storage.
The Vitae has to go there in order for the bond to actually work, since the bond is in that direction, not the other one.
Yes.
For a single bonder, there's 2 ways you can orient your bonder: in this direction or slant it the other way. This way. This way. This solve uses this way, so it can fit an animismus glyph right over there. Or maybe you put the bonder down first and then it put the animismus glyph there because it's so convenient. Who knows? The notes don't say. The notes say, I came up with this layout surprisingly quickly. I cannot see a way to get lower than area than this. Which means there's probably a way? Probably. I don't know.
Probably.
We haven't proven otherwise.
Yeah. Normally there are not glyphs of equilibrium in optimized area solutions, so we might not be seeing the glyph of equilibrium again.
But I mean, have you ever seen like general anesthetic? Or like a blood staunching powder? Those have tons of equilibrium in them, and this is a weird shape in and of itself, so maybe.
Yeah, but this is a pretty compact shape.
Yeah,
true. It doesn't have a whole bunch of spiky bits like warming tonic and
that's very spiky to me.
Yeah, we'll see.
It looks like a spike. It looks like a spike trap.
But yeah, I like this solution in that. So like in some of the previous solutions, the animismus has been way out of the way. Here, it's like right there. You can just extend your piston one hex, and then you grab something.
Alrighty then, moving on though. We have in 14th place at 23 areas as well, but 1,000 cycles flat. We have Sockboy. Triangle track. We're tringling around these parts.
Exactly 1,000 cycles just to flex.
That is a weird spot for the bonder you've got there. This one's doing a interesting last slide for sure. Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah, not having the bonder in line with a product, that is a choice.
That is one of the choices of all time. To be fair, the second to last slide is what's interesting here.
It's 23 areas, so it works.
It works. It's 23. We haven't seen any better. Hello Jasper says, oh, I didn't think about this last slide. I did. It's not helpful. For anybody wondering.
Pretty cool that the final chunk of 4 is bonded together entirely together and then pivoted upside down to be added.
So, great use of the space that the last slide would have needed anyway.
I am thinking about it though. I don't think I've thought about this second to last slide specifically. We'll talk about it later. I don't think it's actually helpful to what I'm trying to achieve, but, you know. Alright, next up, we have... Oh, that's a lot of notes. In 13th place at 22 area now, at 1,142 cycles, we have Dark Brick.
Yes, the one with all the notes. I know about this one.
I will start reading those because it'll take a while. Stage number 1. This is a weekly puzzle. There must be a trick to it. Of course, they wouldn't give us metrics with a simple to obtain optimal solution, as that would result in a bunch of ties and thus unsatisfying competition results. There has to be a catch hidden somewhere that separates the bad submissions from the good ones. Stage number 2. I just got 23 area. Maybe there is no trick, and that's the reason this is a weekly puzzle instead of a tournament one. As it wasn't good enough for a tournament, if it only took me 15 years to get to 23, that must mean dropping extra area is easy, right? Right? Obviously, you need 19 areas just for the input, outputs, and glyphs, and 2 extra for area for arms, since 1 arm isn't enough to utilize animismus, bringing us to a theory min area of 21. This initial solves burns 2 area on the left because the bonder is placed up left of the moors, so you're placing the input at an inefficient diagonal. Now, if you treat this as a height solve and slide it in from the right, then... maybe the trick is that burning 0 area is impossible. None of these layouts seem promising. There's always something going wrong. It's just that both bonder rotations up left and up right end up with an empty space or 2 left of the bonder that you need to fill with something. And if you place an animismus there, you need to place the second arm in a weird place so it doesn't work, because every arm location comes with a million different problems. Stage number 4. Screw that. I just got it. Get bent. I found the layout. I'm gonna get min primary. I'm gonna be happy, and I'm going to get a good score on the leaderboard if I just code this in an efficient way. And stage number 5. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't work because the arm is in the place where you'd bond with the chunky earth, and if you move it, that breaks everything. So you need an entirely different layout, and this puzzle sucks and everything sucks. How the hell do you get 21 area? I'm sure lots of people have experienced this. For everyone who has gone through, know exactly the layout that Dark Brick is talking about. Station number 6. If you place the bonder tilted left, you can place the earth input on the left of the bonder, and then use suppression to get that earth out of the way, and this actually could work. Maybe the trick that makes this a tournament puzzle is that you need suppression to get them in primary, and now that I figured it out, I just need to fix this current idea a little bit, and I'll have this metric in the bag. Station number 7. Whoever made this puzzle is evil, and whoever made this puzzle is evil. Who made this puzzle? Kazian. Kazian made it. Kazian, I hate you. It's been 4 days and all I have is a 15-year swap that burns 2 area. I've spent hours on the puzzle, and every layout I try turns out to have something wrong with this. This puzzle is impossible. Stage number 8. You have to burn 1 area. Maybe that's the gimmick. It's what gives you extra wiggle room to make cycle optimization interesting. Getting to theory min looks more and more impossible by the second. Maybe if I just accept that 21 is not possible and settle for 22, I could get a really good solve out with my remaining time and then be happy with it. And if 21 turns out to be possible after all, I'll be okay with that. Stage number 1. 22 area is still really hard to find a solution for, much less a hard one. I feel like I'm trying to solve Curious Lipstick again, where every layout I try is just slightly off and has one minor issue that ruins everything. Stage number 10. Fuck this puzzle. Fuck everything this solve has. Fuck everything. This solve only has 1 arm and 2 instead of 2 or 3, so it gets a bad secondary. But it's good enough of a solve, and I'm proud of it. I'm gonna send it. I'm gonna get it 13th place, and that's fine. This is 13th place. Amazing.
I don't know if I have anything to say after that. That was gold.
Yeah.
TLDR.
The Academy Award for Best Actress goes to...
TLDR, 10 out of 10 puzzle. I wish good luck to everyone who took part this week, and I'm excited to see the 9 faster 22 area solves and 6 21 area solves immediately after this one. Perfect prediction. So true. So, anything to say about the solve?
So now that we're down to the lower area solves, I drew up some notes on some comparative notes on all of them as they
Gooey
were
has
coming in.
replaced Shadow Cluster.
No, don't say that. I'm sure Shadow Class would have much more insightful things to say, but I've been putting them in the chat. They do get cut off, so I can read them out if people like, but otherwise, certainly for this solve, I don't propose to introduce
Add more
bloat.
time. Yeah. 22 is min A, right? Right? Right?
Right?
Anyways, next solve, at 12th place, we have the 22 area and 1082 cycles chameleon. The notes say, I'm not brave enough to try input suppression. So this is the, what I would consider the quote-unquote correct orientation of the glyph. Of the bonder glyph. Because it's closer to the, it's closer to the output, it fits more.
The solution is leaving the animismus in a deep storage locker so it doesn't have to worry about it getting in the way.
Also, Random Yash is asking who made the tool thing that I linked. That would be Greenfield. But yeah, very straightforward solve. Does what it needs to. And, so in terms of theory, theory min, that would be 21, and 21 would be if you remove the equilibrium and somehow stick something else in there. And the somehow stick something else in there, what it can be is it can be the input. The input can go there, and you have to deal with it with suppression. That is one thing that can be there. Another thing that could be that the calcification is not something that can be there. Calcification cannot be there due to the fact that if calcification were there, the entire top row would be calcified. You can't do that. Track could be there, but if track is there, arm 1 is not able to push the output all the way in, so track cannot be there and also save area at the same time. So that leaves us with two options. We can put bonder, we can put input, we can put animismus. That's the two options we get for trying to stick things in that hole. We will see what people try to come up with.
You can take input suppression, you can take animismus, or you can take the L. Which one did you take?
Next up, in 11th place, we have at 22 area and 1,076 cycles. Really small drops here now. We have Crazy Bot 27. Not sure if this is min or min plus 1, but I feel like it's the first time after an area justice. That's what the notes say. This one has Cortelli instead of Equilibrium. Otherwise, it's largely the same solve, but the inputs and the calcification are just the input is elsewhere. And I guess that makes it faster.
Yeah, compared to the previous solve, this has only got one period less, but it has 2 fewer grabs in the tape loop, which implies that it handles the product less as it's building it, so it's slightly more efficient.
Yeah. A lot of what area optimization comes down to is how many grab drops you have.
Yeah, so in optimized area solutions, you'll often see motions like what's coming up at the end with bonding the vitae to the earth and then like immediately reversing the direction of the vitae, and then it's just in the right place to bond to the rest of the molecule, which can just be like grabbed, pulled in, pushed back out.
Also, if you're seeing a list of numbers with pluses in them in the notes that I'm doing, that's the construction strategy that people are doing, because there are slightly different approaches that you can take to building this shape. You can you add molecules of slightly different sizes to the growing partial product. In this case, CrazyBot makes a 3-atom molecule and then just adds 2s to it to make 11s.
Should be a list of minuses, says Zorflax. The disappointment in that sigh of yours. Alright, next up, we have in 10th place at 22 area.
If you never have any.
At 1,016 cycles, we have X-Sucker 888, saying it definitely feels like I'm one above min, saying mind the gap.
This was the first solve at 22 that we had, I think. So, speedier submission than the others. I forget actually, when did this come in? I remember it being pretty quick.
Here, the gap is referring to the Fratelli hex.
People are saying, "Oh, so 22 is min." I see. Wait, who implied that 22 is min?
It's in Gooey's notes.
Oh shit! Oh, no, I'm so sorry.
Who knows, Gooey?
Okay,
Gooey could be lying to you all.
Well, what do I know? I'm not an area main. This is the thing. You shouldn't take my word for it. This is the difference between me and Shadow Cluster.
It's okay. The squad knows they can be chill about this puzzle for the rest of the stream.
No. We're gonna come in when Shadow Cluster is gonna appear and is gonna make a 21 area solution right in front of us, right here, right now.
Oh no. I can feel the tomatoes coming. I can sense them.
No, not the tomatoes. Gooey is suffering.
But yeah, having the calcifier reachable with just a piston extend and retract, pretty nice for the building process of triplets and pairs.
Mm-hmm. Darkbrick says Zorfax has plenty of tomatoes after last week. He can use them against Gooey now.
Oh no, they'll be a week old. They'll be rotten and horrible.
Oh no. Do tomatoes rot that quickly? So, well, I assume thrown tomatoes will probably rot that quickly. Evil Weck.
Also,
Azuri
congratulations on top
Paul.
10. Okay. Triple eight.
Zorfax says it's cooler to not withhold information when there isn't a cool 21 area surprise to reveal. A week for tomatoes is fine if they were put in the refrigerator. Yeah, that's what I assume. Alright. Next up, we have in 9th place at 22 area and 975 cycles, Mr. Arpiozo, ACG. We're seeing largely the same solves. There are no notes. What does this do faster than the previous solves? Gooey, can you explain?
Yeah, so the first thing is that it can build the initial, so this also builds the initial 3 atom molecule first, and it does it much quicker because of the way that it handles the initial salt. But it then actually loses some of that time again due to awkwardness in the way that it handles the rest of the molecule. Oh dear, I need to account for stream. No, I need to account for stream delay also when I'm posting these notes.
It's fine.
I'm sorry. I'm new to this.
Don't worry about it. If it appears early, it appears early. I mean, most of that 10 seconds is me just revealing everything anyways. Me talking about the metrics of the next solve. Well, since there really isn't much here. Speaking of the next solve, we have in 8th place at 22 area and 908 cycles, we have Cuckoo 52. There's the 55. This one looks different in that it is upside down. I think that's the only difference.
Even in an area solution, Cuckoo 52 finds a way to do things differently.
Even in an area solve.
Gosh, sorry, I have the wrong stats for Cuckoo 52's solve in my notes, so I must have not seen this one because I have a 968 cycle one. So
Zorfax says, "Nah, I did too." Zorfax, you're Australian. It's the right side up for you.
I mean, I mentioned in the previous solve that there was some. Oh, this is just a thing now. What have I done? What have I introduced? Yeah. So yes, I think I have realized what was different. So Cuckoo 52 had a solve that was 60 cycles slower than this, and the thing I think that it was slower in, it built the first 3 atom molecule quite a bit more slowly than the previous solve. I think that has been fixed. So yes, this is just, it just does the same things but faster.
This also seems to gain some time on the calcifications after making a pair molecule, because since there's a whole Bestagon 2 area there that allows for swinging a bit. Yeah, like right there, you can do the turn, the pivot, the extend to get an awkward Earth calcified instead of the one that's most immediately natural to calcify, and it's just done.
Oh yeah, that was in my notes from the previous one. Yeah, that two length that. Sorry, I'm.
Words.
Length
You
1.5
got them.
wing.
Yes, yeah. It's yeah, it's a swing that's not possible in different layouts, but it is because of where anime is here, and because it does the anime after making a 2-atom molecule, and yeah, so that's another. It saves a regrab at the very least as well. So yeah.
Alright, next up in 7th place, we have at 22 area and 861 cycles, we have Ripiv.
Random Yoshi claiming
almost
in
crashed my
chat
game.
that we're not going to have any 2-piston subs. Well, we shall see.
We haven't graduated from one-arm piston purgatory yet. We're still in one-arm purgatory. Anyways, what does this do better than all the other solves that look almost identical to it?
Well, it has much fewer grabs, and the movement throughout is very economical. So yeah, it's the previous solve had 22 grabs. This has got 21. Lots of access, much lower period. Yeah, just better. I think it's the layout that does it in this case. It just I think for a one-arm solution, this is the best relative layout of animismus input and calcification. In particular, this layout is identical to CrazyBots, which was quite a lot slower, except for the fact that the input and calcification are the other way around. And in CrazyBots solve, that caused a lot of problems because the arm got stuck between atoms and stuff on the bonder and the input. Whereas this, because in this solve the space behind arm 1 is completely free, it doesn't have that trouble. So yeah.
Alright, next up, in 6th place, we have at 22 area, 859 cycles, and 120 G, we have Hello Jasper. We have graduated. We are now looking at the 2-piston solves.
So if you have more arms, they can do more stuff in parallel. Generally, this makes it faster.
Wow. Amazing.
That's why all the AC solutions have, if there's space, if it's forced that you need to have 2 places for an arm, AC solutions generally don't do track. They just do, let's put as many pistons in here as the minimum primary will let me.
I don't think you even need to suppress to get 2 arms.
Yeah, this one does, and
this one does.
Input suppression is tricky, but it works.
It sure does.
Yeah. Now that we're starting to see 2-arm solves, we can talk about like how well they're multitasking and how the layouts allow allow the arms to sort of cooperate in what they're doing.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why this
Surprisingly, I guess not surprisingly, is there are a lot more variations of the 2-arm solves than than the 1-arm solves. All the 1-arm solves almost looked identical.
Yeah, the last like 8 or 9 1-arm solves all had identical amounts of access for the arm, whereas in the 2-arm solves, there's the consideration of how many access points each arm has individually, and then how much they have shared between them for communication purposes. This layout has, if we think about the last 1-arm solve, had 14 total access points that were usable by the 1 arm. This solve has only 10 access points that are usable by the 2 arms, and only one of those is shared between the 2 arms, and it's the Moors end of the animismus glyph, which means that communication between these 2 arms is very slow, and there's lots of empty space in the instruction tape as well.
Yeah.
I made note in my notes of how many empty cycles there were on instruction tapes. This has got 89 no-op cycles, so I think it's ARM 2. Yeah, it would be ARM 2 has to spend a lot of time just sitting and waiting while ARM 1 finishes what it's doing.
And despite all those drawbacks, it speaks to the power of having multiple arms that can do things, that this is still better than all the 1-piston solves, like all of them.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Although not by much, actually. This one is it's not even 10 cycles faster than the previous one, is it?
No, it's 2 cycles
a very
faster.
yeah, it's a very narrow margin, yeah.
Alright, next up, we have at 22 area and a bit of a drop in cycles to 768. We have Ebanov in 5th place. That looks almost identical.
It is identical except for where the calcifier is.
Yeah, and somehow that just drops the cycles by about almost like 90. I guess because the calcification is another shared communication point, and yeah, unlike the previous solve. Not that you can actually take anything. Not that ARM 1 can take anything.
No,
calcification.
this has exactly the same. Yeah, it's got the same amount of shared access, but
shared usable access. Since technically
yes,
you share the calcification, but ARM 1 can't do shit other than pivot.
Yeah, in my notes, I'm talking about usable access. So yeah, that calcification does not count as a shared one. But because ARM 2 is able to calcify while ARM 1 is doing other things, it is considerably speedier than having the calcification where it was in the previous solve.
Still has all the trouble related to input suppression.
Yeah. Do you have much else to say about this solve? Oh, you were saying?
Seems like the trick to doing better than this might be to avoid input suppression somehow.
Yeah, input suppression is a forced coordinated motion between the 2 arms, which means that they can't act independently. They kind of have to do, they have to both contribute to the motion, which, you know, ideally you would maybe spend time having the arms working on separate tasks at the same time. And the fact that every time you add 2 atoms to the molecule, you have to suppress the input is, yeah, it's a bit of a bottleneck.
All right. Next up, we have in 4th place at 22 area and 731 cycles. We have Avenged Ruler and Skyhawk. Pairs. Finally. 2 arms and an arm on a track. So people talking about having 3 arms. Well, if you can't have 3 arms, which we don't know if it's possible yet or not, it's probably not, you can just have another arm on a track. Also, that atom isn't suppressed. How convenient. Anyways, this one has notes.
Finally, we are free of the equilibrium.
We have gotten rid of the equilibrium. Anyways, notes. The notes say, Avenged Ruler says, while I'm certain I will be proven wrong, I feel like the theoretical min is simply not possible, so I will settle for min plus 1. Looked around for a good while to find a layout that would even work, and we ended up finding a 3-track or 1-arm layout. But I felt like we could do faster if we had any 2-arm layout. Skyhawk ended up finding this and the movements looked good, so we went with it. No suppression, sounds good to me.
It's 4th place, so yes, this is good. You cooked.
Mhm.
Yeah. So the main advantages here are not having to do so much input suppression. It has more access. This has 12 total access points to the previous 10, and this in this layout, 5 of the access points are shared between the 2 arms, which is quite a lot better. It's also got far fewer no-op cycles of 49 to 62, so a lot more sort of utilization of both arms. All the way throughout the solve. This one also builds a 4-atom chunk first and then adds sets of 2 and ends with a 3, whereas the vast majority of the solves that we've seen up to this
Yeah,
point
because
have
this one has a
started with
different
3.
direction of the bonder.
Yeah. Yeah, the main limiter here is the fact that arm 1 is the only one with access to the calcifier. So they both have access to the input, but only arm 1 can access the calcifier, which is also a bit of a bottleneck. Sorry, I'm just like reading out what I put in the chat now. I'm sorry.
Hello Jasper says, so input suppression wasn't necessary for 2-arm. Nope. Sergi D says it's probably the fastest. Certainly not compared to the other solves we're about to see. But maybe this layout can go faster, perhaps. Who knows? Alright, speaking of, next we have in 3rd place at 22 area and 673 cycles, Sergi D.
Yeah, so a bit of a drop in cycle count.
This is suppression. Ew. Ew.
Oh, yeah, I remember this solve provoked a quite strong reaction in me when I first saw it because I was just not expecting it.
This looks like a failed 21 area solve. That compromised. Because that is one of the places that you would put the output, the input if we were going for 21 area. You know, this reminds me of one of the 21 area layouts I considered that ultimately does not work. I'm pretty sure Sergi D would have found the layout that I'm about to mention, because it looks awfully similar to this one.
Yeah, this solution makes input suppression look like it's not a problem at all.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, since what you're about to see is the layout that I had considered for 21, I don't think there's enough space on the left to fit all the intermediaries that you need. Right? That's what breaks it. So I assume this is one of the 22 layouts Sergi D attempted or even thought about, since it just looks so similar. I can't access the top bonder height. Oh yeah, true.
Yeah, the reason why this is input suppression is not a big time sink in this solve compared to the other ones is that it's the partial product which covers the input when it's being sort of left to the right hand side of the bonder, whereas previously you needed to suppress the input just to get the partial product onto the bonder. So
there's several
sort of
different layouts. This is also one of them that I considered, and then this is probably the one Dark Brick mentioned where this arm is in the way. So yeah, that's yet another failed 21. That's probably the cool. No, not this. Like this. I put it wrong. You know what I mean. But this arm is in the way anyways. There are 2 places arm, but I feel like the only place arm 2 can be is here. And that severely limits the amount of places you can like put it otherwise, put every other layout. Yeah, that's what like makes 21 basically impossible. Over here, and I don't think I found any solutions that utilize that spot effectively. Missed the one with the bonder rotated the other way. With the bonder rotated the other way, you need a whole lot more space. Like this thing here has to somehow be filled, and I don't think that's possible with just 2 arms. Like, this one's almost a forced equilibrium here. And also the fact that, it's kind of impossible to push it in. And disregard where the arms are. The arms can't really go anywhere that makes sense. Yeah, and the one last one I hadn't really considered is this one we saw earlier. But I don't think this one works either. Perhaps the salt can go here. I don't think this was likely either. Anyway, second place solve. I'll stop tinkering. Oh yeah, Search D has notes. Did I read them? I don't know. Didn't manage to find 21 area. I thought this is the best 22 layout and it's not carefully programmed. I didn't bother because this is not a tournament. Pretty interesting design as there are several possible 22 layouts. Yeah, I'm just explaining why 21 isn't really a thing. Or, is at least hard to find. Next up, we have in second place at 22 area and 652 cycles, we have 4. Wow, no suppression. Look, ma, no suppression. And shared track. Wow. So I did find this layout on my own. Zorflex says that's a very familiar layout. I looked. So this is the path that I took to come to this layout. I don't know if it's the path that like you two took, including Zorflex, that came to this layout. Is that first of all, I tried to find a 21. Can't find a 21? Well, use that extra space for an extra arm. Can't do 3 arms? Well, next best thing is a shared track, right? Where can I have a shared track? This. This is the shared track layout. That's how I came to this one. I don't know if that's the same process that everybody else went through that found this layout.
In my opinion, this is the best. This is certainly the best layout that I've seen.
Yeah.
Just, for no other reason that it has just by far the best amount of access for 2 arms.
Given
It
partially because both arms can occupy the same hex.
yeah, exactly. It's 13 total access compared with Sojidi's and the previous layouts, which had 11 or fewer, and this they share basically all of them, except for the access points that each arm has access to on the ends of the track, which obviously the other arm can't access. But yeah, very high amount of multitasking available here. I have some quite substantial notes for this solve. they probably won't make much sense, or they won't see the point to them will perhaps not be so obvious until we see the next solve. Because yeah, I had to study this solve and the next one in quite a lot of detail to work out what the difference between them was, and why the next solve ultimately wins.
Also, I just wanted to say, Albatross, your solution title could have been 4 4s if you wrote 4 times 4 plus square root of 4. That would be 4 4s. That would be nicer. In fact, I think you can write a lot of numbers with 4 4s. There's a whole list of numbers you can write with 4 4s. But yeah, shall we move on to first place then?
Yes.
Shall we move on to Zorflax's literal day one solve?
Yeah, this was yeah, it's amazing.
Totally not polymer area. It's the same thing, it's just rotated.
Yeah, identical layout. Very, very
Let's
similar.
read the notes.
Note says, I'm 99% sure 21A is impossible. Didn't spend too much time trying out 22A layouts though, so there's likely heaps of cycles to save.
You can't tell, but I'm holding a deadpan stare at the fourth wall like one of those shitty sitcoms.
Yeah. In my opinion, that is Zorflax having a bit of a joke at everyone else's expense. Now obviously I wouldn't claim to be certain of that, but I mean, I have, when I tell you I spent a long time looking at this in the previous solve just to identify where Zorflax shaved 2 cycles per loop off of the previous one, and I did work out what it was. There was a mistake that the previous solve made, which made it slower than this one. The reason for which was very subtle and has to do with the order of operations. But this solve, no, I couldn't spot any waste here at all. So I don't doubt maybe that there are cycles to save, but they're not many. I wouldn't have thought.
Mm-hmm. Wow, it's done already. We barely talked about it. Albatross says they see that Morris is slightly different.
If you like, I can read.
If you like, I can rotate the whole solve so you can compare to yours.
Yeah. So what I wrote for 4s, because I made the notes for this in 4 solve rather than Zorflax, but the 2 cycles that 4 loses, one of which is lost when the first 4 atom chunk is made and then stored. 4 stores it over the output instead of what Zorflax does, which it stores it. He stores it over anime. This means that ARM2 is forced to do an additional grab in later on when it has to manipulate the product. Doing it the way Zorflax does allows you to pull the forward MPs down with ARM2 with ARM1, while ARM2 grabs the stabilized Earth, which is on the bonder, so that saves a cycle. And the other cycle that 4 loses is around cycle 60 in the tape loop, when ARM1 grabs an Earth and waits for ARM2 to move the partial product before calcifying it. If instead you wait for ARM1 to calcify, then later on, when ARM2 has to move the partial product and spends a long time resetting, ARM1 gets free time to make more efficient use and do more stuff. So yeah, it's a very subtle shuffling of some of the order of operations just to get 2 cycles per loop. So I'm not in the least bit surprised that Natsubidu for you that you didn't spot this, because yeah, it took a lot of staring at both of your solves just to work out what the difference was.
Mhm.
But yeah, well done both of you, and it's congrats Zorfax. This is
Well done to everyone who
really
found
nice solve.
Minaria as well. Even though it's not exactly that difficult of a task to find Minaria. Compared to what everybody was aiming for, the elusive 21. That's as close as it gets without trying. Thanks, Zorfax.
No, without tying. Without
tying,
tying.
I blame my eyes.
So I suppose this puzzle was a bit of a test of how good you are at not being a perfectionist about primaries.
So true.
Because if you were going for 21 or bust, you busted.
Stop making JP says, stop making elusive mem puzzles, they make me sad. You're acting like we playtested this and found out that it was elusive. I don't think we did. Kazan, did you know that 21 was impossible?
I have never solved this puzzle.
I don't think us in the Weeklies team did either. Yay!
No, we just had implicit faith that Kazian would have designed a good puzzle, and I think that faith was paid off very well. I think this has proven itself to be a very
And when I say I
effective
talked about
puzzle
looking
both
for
ways.
layouts, I didn't actually solve any of them. I just looked at them.
It's okay. I will play test for events that matter.
What Kazian tournament to win?
Azuripa.
Azuri
Paul. Kazian better computer win?
Also Azuripa.
Azuri Paw, but the Azuri Paw is on fire.
Alright. Now let's get to what everybody's been looking forward to next week reveal. Let me go.
Oh yeah. Oh golly. Oh yeah.
Let me go review it
Wait,
on the Let me drag it in back into my
Wait, showcases. Showcases.
No, we do the puzzle review first.
Oh, we'll do showcases after.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Alright. Where's the link? Let me go grab it real quick. Somebody sent something in this channel.
The puzzle that you are about to see comes to you courtesy of your very own Hello Jasper.
I haven't even reviewed it yet.
Hold your applause.
Hold your applause. Boom. It's live. Boom. Thermite tape.
Thermite tape.
The metrics for this puzzle are cost with the restriction that you need to have finite rate, and cost instructions with the restriction that you need to have finite rate, and the cycles. Cycles cost, I think. Yeah, cycles cost. CGI. It's a I'm sorry, Kazian. Team Hello Jazian has to wait another week to exist.
I understand.
But Jen, this is your puzzle for the next week. Good luck. Anybody with the .D incoming? Probably not that fast. People are saying, "Oh, yikes."
What do you mean? It's a perfectly regular looking molecule to me. I mean, look at all those repeating segments.
Also, you see on the website that finite rate implies that you cannot build the output backwards. Do not try; it will not work for that metric. Meanwhile, cycles, you can go, you can build it however you want. You can build from both sides, you can build from up, above and below, you can build backwards, you can build however you want. Madmaster says, this is a hell of a thing. Yes, Right side erasure. Blame Hello Jasper. It was his request specifically. Now, I don't know if that's actually implemented on the website yet. We will work on that. It is. Paxton put it in. Hell yeah. So yeah, this will be our week 3 puzzle. You can all start working on it if you wish. And for now, we will be moving on to our showcase solves.
Only a small handful of them this week, I think.
There's usually not that many. Let's see. Showcase. There's 6. It's more than I expected there to be, I'll be honest.
Yeah, the lore for this for week 3 was
They usually lore either comes very early on into the puzzle or they're finished last moment.
Yeah,
Depends
we
on the
got
person
to
who
about-
submitted the puzzle.
Yeah, we were about 2 hours before the stream. We were like, we still don't have lore. Haxton and I both wrote lore. It ended up being very similar, and we went with Haxton. So yeah.
All right, see you, Zerflax. Where did Gooey's puzzle go? What?
I think I'm also going to drop off at this point. See ya.
Alrighty, see ya.
Thanks, Kazian. Bye.
Collisions doing. Does that make it not show up? But
Yes. Well, the solution doesn't actually, it doesn't run to completion. So
one moment. I'm gonna troubleshoot this file. Does the solution not get placed? Oh, I am dumb.
No, it
This is
shouldn't do.
thermite. This is thermite tape.
Oh, I see.
Lamau.
Yes, yeah. That would also be why it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So this is the failed. You might want to zoom out a little bit, but yeah, this is the failed 20 instruction version of SurgiDs that I tried to get working. There's a very obvious reason why it doesn't work. So this was never going to be a solve that you get down to 20i. It manages to manipulate the product in a slightly more efficient way. So it makes one output, but you can see that the second output won't work because it doesn't have enough time to let that earth come around on one to be recycled. So yeah, this is a non-starter, but I felt like I got close, so thought it might have been of limited interest. But yeah, that's all I
Also,
had to really say
sorry,
about
MB Ventus. Sorry that our stream was not soothing enough for you to fall asleep to. Alright, next
What do you mean? These dulcet tones haven't put you to sleep by now?
Would you prefer that we do this stream ASMR style instead? It was too exciting.
That's certainly one word for it.
Alright. Next up. Zorflax is gonna be so upset when he finds out he missed ASMR. Alright, next up we have Realliance's Cycle Solve. Well, Cycles Orientated Solve. This looks a lot like his solve that he optimized for quote-unquote area. but it's faster. Let's say I embarked it. This is the cycle solve. I should probably mention that I do not actually know how any of these puzzles are scored. I never check, and I don't solve for them. I just solve it for myself. But this time, I noticed I could probably save on cycles, but it was a pretty significant area cost. I'm happy with both. I probably like the area solve better since it's not so huge time loss, and I like smaller designs. Alright, next up we have Mad Master Solve. It's that named Procrastination. I think this is min cycles. I've got plenty of latency to spare and still hit min cycles. I don't need to start making bond yet. There's plenty of time left. Yeah, so it takes out almost all. It starts bonding as late as it can. That's why this one is named Procrastination. As opposed to Transcendental Guy Solve, which was named Procrastination because he submitted it last minute. Next off, we have Dark Brick Solve, Break My Beloved, which I assume is a rate solve. That is a rate solve, alright. This one took even less time than my initial 23 area. I see. Next up is Ebenov. One more fix, move 2. How many instructions is this? I don't have the parser set up to read instructions.
You press 6 on your keyboard?
Ah, it's 30. No notes on this solve? Don't know what it's supposed to be showing. But it does look like an attempt at TI that probably didn't work out as expected.
Yeah, so this one detaches the extra earth with that debonder next to the hex arms, and so it does do the thing that Soji's does. It needs a piston to accomplish that, and less efficient. Oh, so yeah, so this basically it has the source, so to speak, but it doesn't have the it didn't have the insight of having animismus over there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, and one last showcase solve by Ambiventus. No pivots, no rotates. Not a pivot nor rotate in sight. Just arms enjoying the moment.
Oh right, yeah. This was the one that they mentioned was did better than their original area solve on area, and so they adapted this to be an area solve.
Mm-hmm.
I think we noticed at the time that solve did not have very many pivots in it at all.
Yeah.
So now we understand why.
No rotates for this one either. That solve had rotates. But yeah, that should be all of the solves for this week. Yeah.
But wait!
But
no,
wait.
There's no more.
But yeah, here is the puzzle for next week, and that you'll be working on. We will be streaming here yet again, probably me, either me or Haxton that will be streaming next week. Same time next week. Greenfield, you had a showcase? It's certainly not here. Wait, hold on. How many inputs? Four inputs. Let me check the supposedly existing Greenfield showcase.
Aren't you forgetting someone, Chump Change Boy?
No, you get the tomatoes.
Why don't
Oh, okay, I see why the Greenfield solve wasn't included. I put in default restrictions. I forgot to remove that. One moment, we have one more solve, everyone. Overlap. That's why this isn't up here. I figured out why. I accidentally put in default restrictions so it didn't show up.
I love it when you see a bit of track in a certain shape and you're just like, ah, I know what that's for.
The wiggle. Wiggle, 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 wiggle.
Oh, lordy wiggling.
Alright, that should be all. I hope. Is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 7.
Enough.
7 solves.
We're done.
We're done. See you on
we've
next
been
week,
suspended in
everyone. Goodbye.
See you.
Thanks for being
See you next
here.
week.
Bye.